Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast.
Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. Phillip Stewart, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good to be on.
Nice to meet you, Philip.
Aye, nice to meet you too.
Sorry for keeping you there.
That's okay.
I might get bumped out of the conversation since you two are going to have something in common, but we've never ever had anybody on the podcast talk about property photography, and that's what your business specialises in, and also you're a property investor, so you know the industry, but I always find it quite strange that the first thing you see on a property is the pictures.
Yeah.
And no one, and it's not like a talking about subject. They'll talk about staging, they'll talk about the flips, they'll talk about the kitchen, but they won't go, oh, you just put it to the agent and let the agent decide what photographer they use. So hopefully people after this podcast can learn more about you, your backstory, your property business, and why property photography is such important as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, as you said, it's the first thing that you see online, whether it be if it's a sales listing, a rental, an essay, someone that's doing a flip or whatever
and it must be so important for SA, so it'd be good to catch on that. Before we kind of get on to that, mate, you want to give us a bit of a backstory on you and what brought you into, I suppose, photography and then into the property industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, thanks very much for having me again. It's I've been a long-term listener for a long time since you started it 5-6 years ago.
Oh, so nice one. Thanks for your support.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, thank you for putting it together, and the events as well are great to go along and meet people. So it's much appreciated. So it's been great to have these things to listen to on my drives going out doing the property stuff. So yeah, I started doing the property photography. It's way back in 2012 now, so about 13 years in total that I started in. But before that, I mean, total going back, how I got into photography, I mean, I started it was like a part-time course when I was at high school, which was photography. I thought, oh, that sounds quite good. So I did that, and it was my favourite subject. It was the one I did the best in. And then afterwards, I kind of deviated a little. I went into do web and graphic design, worked for a very small company doing that for a while. That didn't quite work out. The guy was running it on his own, expected a bit too much, I think, from this young guy that was doing it. I was about 16, 17 at the time. So left that, went into some other jobs that were kind of not really what I was wanting to do at all. It was kind of a stopgap of just trying to have a job to make some money. And then when I was in one of those jobs, which was basically just sort of warehouse work and things like that, I decided, right, I want to change this. I want to do something that I actually enjoy, do something with my life that I'm actually passionate about. So saved up as best as I could in a low sort of paying job, but managed to get there and got all my own equipment. And then it's landscape photography that I first got into.
Right. So it's quite a startup cost then to get your own equipment and cameras. I mean, Nick sent me the link for the one for doing the reality refibs, and I get a fright every time I look at something like that, but I'm assuming that's just low level to what you're...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's certainly an expensive hobby and profession to get into, just because the costs mount up as you go from the cameras, the lenses. The lenses can cost a hell of a lot more than actually the cameras do. Then you've got all the other equipment that goes along with it, the tripods, the gimbals, the recording equipment, the computers that you need to edit on, and you need to have a decent computer to actually do the editing.
Back in my day, right, it was like...
An iPhone.
No, it was even before that. I mean, I started on film cameras.
Yeah. Started on a bit of film as well when I started with.
Absolutely, man. So I can go. Obviously, like I started out in photography when I was about 16 as well. But I'm probably a good bit older than you. What age are you?
I am 36.
Right, okay, so I've got 10 years on you pretty much. So I had my wee darkroom and all that. So black and white photography that I started out.
Right.
And don't know if you've ever seen it on films and all that, but you've got your trays and
that's
that,
right.
and then you develop them and that.
So we did that side of it in the college course. So it was good to do a bit of that. And my dad, he was into a wee bit of photography, so he had a film camera, so we did that when we went out as part of that. And one of the assignments for that, the course was picking something that you wanted to do, so it was landscape photography. So we went up in the Highlands, and he was teaching me a bit about things and taking me some great spots, and that's where I kind of got a real love for it. So yeah, years later,
It's quite interesting you say that, like, because a lot of people that follow into their job, they never ever follow it from a passion point of view. Like, no, I don't. You rarely hear that now. Somebody saying, "I actually just want to do something I love doing."
Yeah,
and I'm going to make a job and a career and a business out of it. So
absolutely,
that was great. That obviously it started as a hobby, and then you thought, right, what can I do that I've got the passion? Because I think that is like a huge part of somebody being successful. If you start out and you love something, if you try to do a business and something you're not into and you don't love going to work every day, I just see that as like how that's just going to be a struggle, isn't it?
I feel like everybody needs some sort of purpose in life, and if you're not doing anything that you're enjoying doing, it's What
was it about photography then? I mean, you probably both will be able to answer this then.
I would say it's just the creativity side of it. When I went out to do the landscape stuff, I love being outdoors. That's like my biggest passion is the outdoors. I just love being out. I love being up the mountains, to the coast, doing all that. So that's what I love doing, and to mix that with capturing that and what Scotland's got to offer.
I don't know if you find this, mate, right? But like, I went to college and did photography and all that, and all the people I was at college with, they're all quite like kind of arty types, creative types and stuff like that. Not necessarily like business minded and entrepreneurs. So this is quite interesting because you've obviously built and scaled the business down, systemised and staffed and all the rest of it. So that's really interesting because do you not find that there might be amazing photographers out there, but not necessarily like they're actually struggling to make a living because they're no business minded because they're creatives.
Yeah, so that came much later, I would say, in my journey to actually learn about the business and the entrepreneurial side. And then once I did change that mindset, that was just...
And how did that change? Because
so what was the first step into then photography becoming more than just a hobby then? Was it a job originally?
Yeah, it was when I got the equipment, I got into doing the landscape photography, and that quickly went from an interest to a passion and an obsession. I was just obsessed with it. I basically, we're looking at, I was maybe my early 20s, and so I was still going out to the pubs with my mates. That was all you did at the weekend. Going out,
grew up in
drinking.
Edinburgh? Was it Edinburgh?
West Lothian, Livingston. I grew up, and then I moved through to Edinburgh later, just for work because it was easier. But I was getting fed up. I wasn't really interested in it anymore, and I was a bit younger at that point. But I wanted to do something else with my life, and I wanted to have something that I enjoyed, as you said, and I wasn't enjoying just going out and getting drunk every weekend. If that's what other people like to do, that was fine, but it just wasn't really doing it for me. After doing it for all these years of my teenage years and my early 20s, I thought I need something else.
Do you make any money at landscape photography? Yeah, so
when I started to do that, I built up a portfolio. I just got obsessed with it. I was going out at all hours of the morning because the landscape photography is all about the light. So I was going out at ridiculous hours in the morning. So that's why I never saw my mates anymore, because they were saying, you come to the pub, and I was like, well, I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go and catch the sunrise up north. So no.
First hour of light.
Yeah, absolutely. So the golden hour. So it's, I was basically...
So the difference is between the sunset and the sunrise for photography?
Just a direction, basically, of where the location is going to be best for capturing it. So usually, obviously, you're over on the east side for the sunrise, and then the west side is better for the sunsets.
You get any good photos when you were on your NC 500?
I took some nice
Did you get up for sunrise? Or
Yeah. I like a sunset.
This time of year it's tricky because it's early.
Beautiful up there, wasn't it?
Stunning. But that's
where
why
did
I like
you stop off at?
Stopped off at Mallaig and Loch Mora, where I used to go for holiday all the time.
Yeah,
just park the car right on the beach. And just
is it Mora where they've got like the white sands and all that?
Aye, that's Arasaig.
Yeah.
So I was in there the first night, and then second day got this ferry over to Skye, pretty much toured Skye, did the ferry pools, and then Skye the second night, and then last night we went to Applecross, and Applecross was stunning as well. So it was all west coast. It was all kind of nice sun.
Midges?
Aye, they were quite a bit, but I try not to react to them because Maya's never really experienced it before, so I just sprayed myself like, here, spray yourself with this, and I wasn't like, I'm fucking like that. I think that last guest, I was itching the back of my head constantly going, I'm bitten in midges.
Did you not get the nets for her, the big nets? No,
I didn't want to make a big deal of it for Maya, so then that'd be an impression of midges and itching. So the fact that I didn't say nothing, she never really on that much was quite good. But some beautiful settings, and
that's the biggest challenge, I would say, is because it's at that time of the morning, the midges are even worse because you have very little wind.
You done a lot of travelling up that way, like round the north and all that, for landscape photography?
So since I started that, it was 2009 that I first got the equipment and started it, and it was 2012 that I went professional doing photography. But from 2009 right through to now, I've been all over Scotland, all over. There's not that many places that I probably haven't been to.
You actually made a living out of it then?
So it was more on, I was making some money from selling prints into books, into magazines, doing some exhibitions. I won a few national and international competitions for the landscape photography, which I was really chuffed with it. Starting out in that, I was only doing it for a couple of years.
People see that work on your Instagram?
Yeah, it's all on my Instagram. I've not
What's
quite.
What's your Instagram name, just for people listening?
It's Phillip Stewart Photo, so it's 1 L and Phillip Stewart SDEW. So you can find.
I did have a quick glance, some beautiful stuff there.
Thank you very much.
But it is hard, isn't it? It's hard to make a decent living.
It's very, very difficult to make a living out of like landscape photography. You mainly really have to go down the sort of route of doing workshops and tours, so taking people out, showing them the location, showing them how to use the camera, how to compose, all the rest of it, because if you're solely relying on selling your work,
did you do any of that?
It's very difficult,
like running workshops.
I've not, to be honest. I think because I got into the property photography so early on, I then left the landscape work to be as more of a hobby. And still sell my stuff on the side, and I've sold calendars each year and things like that, but not focus on that to be as full-time. Perhaps there was an element that I thought, if I go into this full-time, am I going to maybe enjoy it less as being a business, or I don't know, but I never quite got to the stage of actually doing workshops and tours
as well. Like when you think about your passion, like obviously for martial arts over the years, when I would try to turn it into a business, you almost lose the passion in it, because then you start to think about it as a business, and you know, your operating costs, expenditures, and running it more efficiently. So did you, when you jumped, did you worry about losing that passion as well? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think it's because you're then not focused just on capturing what you want to do. You want to go out, and you don't have as much freedom, because you have to think about, how am I getting clients, how am I invoicing them, find them,
the money coming in and these types of things. So I mean, a lot of people make it work, and I think maybe down the line in the future I might just go back to that when I've got the other businesses and investments that are then kind of paying for the most of the things that I need to pay for, and then I can go back and explore other options in the landscape photography.
So what was the first insight to the property side of the photography?
Yeah, so when I'd been doing the landscape work for a few years, and as I said, built up a portfolio, did well in some competitions and sold some work and things like that, and got a little bit of a name out there for it. I then decided, right, I would like to do photography full time, because at that point I wasn't doing it full time. I was still doing it just as a hobby while I was working in a low paying job, kind of not doing something that I wanted to do. So I had a look online, and I didn't want to be a wedding photographer. I didn't want to do portraits. I just wasn't interested in that. I was interested in the outdoors, or things that I could take my time with that didn't move or didn't so it just wasn't really in my it wasn't something I was interested in, going the route of what the typical, most of the time you get asked, do you do weddings when you say you're a photographer? And it's no, I've never done a wedding.
I did weddings. I did a few weddings back in the day as well.
Is that commercially where the money is then? Is that where the people will make a living?
I mean, I guess that's where most people think of where money is in photography, is weddings.
Oh, I remember doing them, and you would be absolutely knackered at the end of it, man.
Very, very, very stressful.
You try to organise drunk people into photos and all this that they're telling you to fuck off and all. It's like, it's just a hard slog, but I did it, man. I did it for years, and I did a few weddings, but so the property photography,
so I had a look online and just had a search to see photographer positions, and I've always, my family's always come from a background of property as well, so I've always had a bit of interest in property.
What was their background like? What was the stuff?
So my dad, he was an architect, and then my mum, she worked in new build sales for Cala for 25, 30 years, I think it was. So they were both in that industry. When I was younger, I was on there's pictures of me with a hard hat on when they were building their own homes. So my mum and dad, they bought a couple of plots. They built their own houses.
Oh, nice one.
So it's always been there. I've been
yeah.
kind of around it in a little bit of a sense growing up. So it's always been in the sort of the back of my mind, I suppose, and something that was there. So when I had a look online to see what was out there, photography wise, as like a sort of career, I came across a job that I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. It was a full-time job as a property photographer for an estate agent, like as an in-house photographer for them. So
Is that in Livingston?
no, it was they were based in Edinburgh. It was quite a large, and you've had quite a few guests that have used to work for that company. So I know quite a few of them that have now gone on to do quite big things. It was McHugh and Fraser that was advertising that, and it was it was when that company was quite young, because I mean that was 2012, so they'd only been going for a few years, so they were still quite small, growing before they became a lot bigger than what they are now. So you came on as
the in-house guy?
Yeah, so I was like, I think the second photographer there, second or third.
Can you remember what that salary was?
Low. Low.
That's one thing that I want to touch on, because I do being a photographer myself, or used to be, it's quite a devalued kind of industry. People just expect you can get photos for nothing.
Well,
it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like people used to say, "Oh, can you come photograph my mate's wedding, and we'll give you a couple of £100." Well, no, it doesn't really. You can get your dinner as well. You can get a free dinner out of it. Fuck off. I've got better things to do with my time. Come to
your fucking wedding.
It's like,
absolutely. Unfortunately, it has been.
You've obviously had experiences of that before as well. I mean, nose up at prices.
Yeah, like even with the landscape stuff. I mean, when I share that online and people just basically like save that and then post it and share it or do whatever they want with it, and you think, wait a minute,
and see,
I spent a lot of time, effort, and money to get that image.
When the iPhone came along, that was the biggest thing. Do you know what I mean? Because like we witnessed it in the press industry, because like press photography was really kind of quite, it's a specialist thing, and there was a professionalism to it as well. But then when the iPhone came out, then you used to get just reporters going out with their phones. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we don't need a photographer at that job anymore. It's like, all right. So we used to get sent abroad to trips and stuff like that. Whether it be, did a lot of like football trips and stuff for European, Champions Leagues and all the rest of it. That didn't get taken over by the iPhone, but things like I don't know, for example, there was some disaster or something like that, some earthquake or something, rather than send a report on the photographer, then they would just send the reporter with the camera phone, and that was the kind of die, and that was the press photography starting to kind of die out for that sort of stuff. But it's, how did that, you feel like going into the estate agency, that specific company obviously valued good quality photography, so that was quite a good thing for McHugh and Fraser. They were one of the leaders out there that were actually doing professional photography and media for listings, because you're talking 15 years ago.
Other people would just be like, oh, they've bought the staff a camera and it's the negotiation, right? When you're listing that property, just go and take the pictures of it.
Well, there's loads of that. There's still loads of that, and to a certain extent, we do that with the lettings. We just use our phones. So I'm a kind of like,
a contradiction here.
No, exactly. But you've got to do. I'm now not a photographer. I'm a business owner. Do you know what I mean? So things have changed. So I can get it.
It's about, and that's the whole part of it, is like the education side of it, where I try and come in to get new clients on board, is to show them the difference in the photography if they're still doing it themselves, like an estate agent, and what that looks like, what it can look like, what it not only does for selling the properties, but what it does for their brand, how they look, how they're perceived online, what's going to get them their next listing, what's going to get them more business.
And I've got to say, right,
it's how
although
they look,
we do use obviously our phones, phone quality is amazing now. You've got to say, right?
Absolutely.
So although we do use phones for lettings, see if I was doing estate agency and sales, and I was doing flips and all the rest of it, 100% I'd be investing in professional photography and staging.
I think it's because one, people will know how hot the rental market is. You don't need that good a quality, because you've already got 40 people at every listing. It's like fine, but when it comes to flip and you're trying to get over the asking price on an essay,
that's got a pop. The ad's got a pop.
I guess it just depends. I mean, you can, the camera quality is so much better now in like the phones. But is that what makes a good photograph? No.
So
like it's the skills that go along with that. So I mean, because that's the same as me saying that, you know, somebody with a great camera could just go out and take a picture in the landscape, or go along to a wedding and take the photographs, and it's going to be the same as it's just not. It's just not. There's a lot of skill involved in it.
Where is the skill, and what value do you bring then?
So for me, it's what brings attention, how professional it looks. So because we've spent a lot of time learning the trade, the skills that are involved in the lighting, the composition, what you need to do, the editing side, everything else that goes along with that to create bold, impactful images that are, or videos that we do obviously as well, that will stand out online, that will look professional, that will then make that company look professional.
It's funny, isn't it? Because like not everybody sees it, right? So me and you could see an image and go, that's wrong with that, like the lighting's terrible, like the shadow areas are not exposed for, and all the rest of it, right? But a lot of people just don't see that. So like the classic was with the old iPhones, it just used to point at a window and it exposed for the window. So the rest of the room was totally dark and you could hardly see any detail. So just wee things like that, what you're saying.
I think even a layman like me, if I looked at a professional photograph of a property, I'm like, wow. And then I can look at that shit when I'm like, yeah, that's crap. Somebody's scrimped on that, and you can almost see it without knowing what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm looking at, how to technically say what's wrong with it. I know that's shit and that's really, really good, and that pops. So you know which one you would prefer to use. It's
like, you know, we're in the studio. We've got a professional equipment. It's going to get professionally edited. The video is going to look a heck of a lot better than it is if somebody just
on Zoom call
did it on their phone and posted it online.
Well, we got complaints last week because we put out the Harris Hisco, which was great to meet Harris, but obviously we met him in a cafe in Dubai. So it was just a case of we had the cameras set up ourselves and the clip-on mics and the rest of it, and you could tell straight away because there was like a group of like Indian guys in the background talking away and all this, and picking up on the mic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was like we had a few comments. Somebody said that was a terrible audio.
Well, there we go. Yeah, it's proofs in the pudding, is it?
We're on the road in Dubai.
I mean, it's just, sometimes you need to adapt.
Yeah, that was one that we would agree. I just arranged to meet Harris anyway, and we started talking about the story after breakfast.
That was interesting.
This would make a really good podcast. We could record it, and so Nick set up the cameras. And the mic's there.
DIY job. You compare it to this. Exactly what you're saying there. So how long did that last with McCune Fraser until you thought, I can't work for this low wage anymore?
So I managed to get the wage up, and I ended up, I was there for about 5 years, I think 5 or 6 years.
Good experience.
Oh, absolutely. It got my foot in the door because I hadn't had any professional experience in photography before that. So I think the main thing was for me was to go into that interview. I knew I was going to be up against people that were photographers. So I had a lot on the line for me. And I thought, I really need to get this. I need to get out of this and to get into this job. So I put together the portfolio that I had. I said that there's a lot of relatable things here with the wide angles within the landscapes that I can convert into the property. There's this, that, and that I can do. I'm really good with people because a lot of it is to do with people within this job as well, because we are going to people's houses. You know, we're dealing with them as we're going around doing the job. So it's not just about the photography for me.
And again, that's where a lot of creatives kind of fall down because they're not really naturally good. Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, I really had to. I wanted to come across as confident as I could in that interview to be able to get that job, and luckily that seemed to have worked, and I got offered that job. So I was in there for, as I said, 5-6 years. I managed to.
Must have been good seeing the McCune and Fraser grow as well at the same time as you were in there.
But there was loads of people went for that job as well.
Probably, I would imagine so. Yeah. So I felt really proud to be able to get that. As I said, having no experience at all in the industry, a very, very young guy at that point. So I was pleased.
How far in did
that.
You start creating your business plan then? Like, did you have an idea that you needed to get out and do your own thing? Like, how far?
No, not to be honest. I was enjoying doing what I was doing and just learning as much as I could in that sector, in the property photography, media side of things. I was like, right, I want to soak up as much as I can here, and I was enjoying working.
Leading it?
Yes, so there was somebody that was above me that interviewed me for the job, and she headed that sort of department because they had in-house editors and graphic designers as well, because they created their own brochures and everything like that.
They put investment into it.
They really did. put a lot of investment into that, into the roles that they had. It grew very, very large, very quick.
Yeah.
When I started, there was only maybe about 20, 30 staff. In the space of a few years, it was up to about 150, 200. So it really, really grew fast over the first few years while I was there. And then it really just went from, I managed to go up sort of a little bit to head photographer, kind of overseeing the photographers in the different areas that we covered, because obviously McEwen covered all of Scotland. So I was based in Edinburgh and Lothians, but we had photographers that were through in the west, up north, Dundee, all over. So because I'd been there from the beginning, I was kind of heading up that role now, overseeing them. We met up and we kind of discussed what it was that we could do, improve, etc. So
how many properties would you photograph in a day? Like, what would be your busiest day?
So it all just depends on, like, the size of the property is a big one, because it takes you a lot longer to do a 5-6 bedroom detached than it is to do a small one bed flat.
The money's worth out you though.
Oh, definitely. They were getting their money's worth. They were getting because when I started, there was one of 2 or 3 of us, and we were still covering all of Scotland. So I was doing a lot of travelling. I was going all over the place a lot of the time.
Looking to impress as well and get a name for yourself and grow.
Yeah. So
a lot of miles then.
A lot of miles. I was doing at least 25,000-30,000 miles a year in my own car to travel all over the place. And you were usually doing.
They didn't give you a company car, no?
No.
Not for photographers.
No.
Stephen would have had a GPS tracker on it.
So no company car.
So what point at that 5 years did you see an exit, or you think?
So I always had, I guess in the year or so before I left, I started to think about, right, could I do this on my own? Yeah, I think I could. There's no reason why not. I know what it is that I need to do.
Did you spot a niche in the market? You spot an opportunity there?
Because there was still so many people out there that hadn't gone down the professional photography video route and things. Videos were still very new at that point. Not many people were actually doing them. So I did see a lot of, and it was offering the full works as well. So it was doing the photographs, it was doing the floor plans, it was doing the tours, it was doing the videos, it was doing all these types of things. So I did see a niche there, that there was still, the space wasn't that crowded. There was still a lot of people that I could cater for and go into to do that on my own. So I looked into that a little bit, but it was still so busy there. But then before I could actually take the leap and do it on my own, I was actually approached by a smaller company that is basically the same as what I'm doing now. They were doing that as a business, and they had obviously sort of headhunted me in a way. They saw what I was doing, heading up that department at McEwen Fraser, and knew obviously what I was doing. So they came to me, asked for a meeting. I met with them, and they offered me a position in their company. There was just the 2 of them. So I kind of weighed it up, and they offered me quite a decent incentive. Like, it was a decent salary. They offered me a sort of share in the company. So I kind of weighed that up and thought, right, I think I'll go for this because it sounds great. I could grow this company. I could be a big part of this. So I left there and I went and started with them. And it was great in terms of learning even more about the business side, because it was a small business that was all centred around that. So that started off really, really well, and I was there for 2.5 to 3 years, I think it was. But during that time, near the end of that time, was when COVID hit, and it put everything shut down. I think I was put on furlough but it was only for about a couple of months, because the property market opened up very quickly, because they needed it to. I think you needed the property market needed to continue. They needed transactions go over, and people needed to move. So we ended up going back very quickly to go into the job, obviously, with making sure people weren't in the properties, so that, with the COVID and everything else, and wearing masks, all that kind of thing. So we went back, and there was a big boom, as you know. After COVID, the market just went nuts. It's just, there was so many people selling, the prices went absolutely through the roof. So we were just so busy. Like, inundated with properties coming on that we were obviously doing the photography for.
This coming, most of the work coming through estate agents going directly to this company.
Mostly estate agents, and they had one of the biggest estate agents in Edinburgh as one of the clients that were doing well in excess of 1,000 jobs in a year. So it's a huge volume of properties coming on, and it then started to go slightly downhill from that point, to be honest. There was starting to be signs of they were taking a bit of a loan. They started to offer their clients 7 days a week. They said that from the beginning, we're not going to expect you to do the weekends. We'll do that. But that soon didn't quite happen. They got fed up of having to do it all the time, and they started asking if I could do it, and there wasn't any pay for that. It was, you can take that time back. And
basically, they're taking the piss.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then it transpired as well that the sort of share side that they initially offered didn't quite match up to what they initially said, and then what they were going to offer. And so
it's a Scottish company or UK wide?
It was a small Scottish company based in Edinburgh, and they were good enough people, but it just felt that it just wasn't. It was just there was a bit of a bad taste.
Basically, try to squeeze as much out as possible.
That's what I felt.
Right, okay.
So it was just that relationship had kind of gone downhill a bit there. So I basically, it got to a point actually where there was one moment and I got home and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, she could tell that I wasn't very happy. I wasn't enjoying it. She says, "Look, they're taking the piss now. It's. Do you think you should stay there anymore?" And I'm just like, "Nah, I don't think I should."
that was
so it was literally, we were sat on the bed. In the flat that I bought in Edinburgh at that point. She had moved in with me. We'd done all that property up, but I'll get to that. And we were sat on the bed and we wrote up the notice together, sent it off to them, and then that was it. I was like, right, it's COVID, and I've just handed in my notice, and I don't have any work or clients to go to, and I'm going to start on my own now. So,
wait, how did you get your first client for your business?
So that was the other thing. It was a difficult start because not only they weren't very happy that I decided to leave, and after I handed in my notice, I then started to do a little bit of sort of subcontract work for some other agencies. Yeah. And
you pretty much become their competitor at this point.
Yeah, basically. So they weren't happy about that, and they basically, I got a letter from a lawyer, a solicitor, to say, you had in your initial contract that you wouldn't be able to work for 6 months doing what you're doing in these areas, covering a large area. Yeah. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So it's going to be
how did you deal with that?
About this. So I weighed up, are they actually going to enforce this or whatever? And I thought, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll not do that. I'll do it in other areas. So I had to travel even further for the first 6 months. And it was difficult because obviously I had a mortgage to pay, I had bills to pay. But my wife, she was working full time. She was staying in the flat that I had bought. We'd been together for a wee while, and she said, "Look, worst comes to it, I've got a job. I can help pay if I need to until you can get started properly. Without these restrictions that had been imposed on me." So it was tough. Like it was, I got to 4 or 5 months in and things, and I was only getting dribs and drabs of work coming in.
And what are you doing to generate leads in business at this point?
Well, it was basically just going to other sort of agencies and doing subcontract work for their clients.
What are you doing? Emailing other agencies saying this is what you're doing now? Got any work?
At that point, not quite yet, because I wasn't at the stage where I could really even take on that work, because I couldn't work in a huge area that I was actually wanting to get the clients for. So after that 6 months passed though, that was it. I was basically right, okay, contact these people that I know, contact this, that, next one. And
you obviously had a good network though, because you'd probably been picking up keys at all these agencies and all the rest of it, so you probably know a lot
from
of people,
my time at McHugh and Fraser, and meeting a lot of people, knowing a lot of people within there, and then other people out with that. I'd certainly.
Did you get any work off McHugh and Fraser, or was that all in-house still?
No, that was all in-house at that point. So it's funny now, they're actually, I'm doing work for them as a client now, so it's actually come full circle again.
Are they going down in size? Are they shrinking a little bit?
I don't know. I mean,
They seem to go through this phenomenal growth, and then it kind of like they were like really taking over everything at one point.
Yeah, had the big investment side of it as well. They're buying up all the property.
Anyway, that's a separate thing. We need to get them on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
use your contacts, Phil.
Yeah, and it was after the 6 months, and then I could then just sort of put the foot down, get out there, get looking for people, and then so the first year obviously was tough. It was tricky to actually get any clients and things. So, but then after that, I started to build up some clients, whether it be in estate agents and letting agents, individuals doing service accommodation, Airbnbs, flips, etc. And then also looking into more commercial routes with like builders, architects, stagers, all these types of clients, because like they all need
and stuff. Do you do any of that? Well, you have some contacts at Cala from your mum and all that.
I got a few. It's interesting you say that, because that's actually how, when I first got the job with McKeown Fraser, not only did I just have the landscape portfolio, but that I then used my initiative to speak to my mum and said, look, you've got contacts in Cala, could you get me into a show home so that I could do photography of that to then be able to show
for your portfolio
in the interview? So
okay.
I did that, and that seemed to help as well. But yeah, I've done a few new build sort of properties for a couple of developers as well.
Looking at your business now, how would you kind of split up the type? You mentioned all the different types of strategy, you know, the Airbnb, the obviously residential sales. So what's the percentage split up, make up the business? I would say
probably about 75-80% is estate agency and letting agency.
Do lettings, you do get lettings instructions, Would that be for higher end properties?
High end stuff,
so one of the clients is sort of higher end stuff. It's mainly in Edinburgh. So it's there's some HMOs and there's some
if you're
other
getting a 10% commission off a $2,000 a month property, then it's a different story. We've got the budget for photography. Do you know what I mean?
But there are some. There's other agents out there that I do their letting photography, and they're West Lothian. There's West Lothian and things, and they're much less.
Photography for Chris Dale's Airbnb as well. And
so I did the photography, and we did a wee social media video, and we did the drone aerial stuff, because it's literally right next to the castle, so it was great to get the drone up and show where it is in relation to that and stuff. So we did that.
That'll make a huge difference to the market and on that property on
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've got case studies from the estate agency, from the service accommodation side, the Airbnbs. So I mean, for example, there was one client. They were selling a property. It was in West Lothian. It had been on the market with an estate agent local to there for over 6 months, and they had no offers yet. They did the photos themselves. The photos looked terrible. Okay. My client then went in, got me to go in, do all new marketing for it. Within 1 week, they had an offer over home report value. So the only difference there is really the marketing and the estate agent that's did obviously
better. Switch agent?
Yeah. Sorry, they took it over from.
Absolutely, totally.
So I mean,
some of the stuff you see out there is terrible, isn't it? Some of it. I mean, it has. I feel like it has got a bit better over the last few years.
Oh yeah,
people have had to sharpen up.
Yeah, because people have had to, because they're just going to.
Games evolve and they're
going to be left behind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like with AI and things like that. If you don't adapt, you're going to fall behind, and you're just not going to.
Watch the guy on TikTok? There's a guy. He's a Scottish guy actually, Adams C or something. I can't remember his name, but he basically what he does is he pulls out estate agency listings, right, that are like, the pictures are, well, number one, the photos are usually horrendous, but inside the interiors are horrendous as well.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of time it's like toilets that are in like bedrooms and all that, and he says, look at this shitter that's in this bedroom. This is what you get for 500 grand at a studio in London, and he just absolutely destroys the property and the estate agency listing. But you do see some terrible marketing out there, don't you?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
So when you come up against a client, and I mean, it sounds like you built the business to a point now where you don't really have to convince people too much, but what would be the kind of main objections then? If I'm an estate agent and I'm considering it, is it cost? Is it, how do you kind of convince somebody that they're getting good value for it?
The way I say it to them is just like sort of try to educate that it's not just about how that property and listing is going to look and about selling that. It's about how you look as an estate agent and a brand, like how you're going to look on, because so much of it's done through social media and things now as well. So many sales come through sort of social media with people sharing things through Facebook, Instagram. You know, it's not just all about Rightmove, Zipla, etc., and how things get sold now. So if you do not have a good content to go along with your brand, you know, that's done professionally, whether it be the social media videos where they're on camera, because at the end of the day, they're the face of their company and their brand, and they need to show that, really, because otherwise the people that are going to get more of the business. That's just how it's going to be.
And what sort of costs are we talking about then? I know it all varies on size of property and packages and what you want, but I don't know, a 2-bedroom tenement flat in Edinburgh or something like that. What sort of, you know, you've got the photography, then you've got all the other bolt-ons, so give us a summarise of the service.
So I mean, we could start probably at the very bottom where it would be just photos only, and you'd probably be looking at about £80 to £100 for like a 1-2 bedroom. So that would be like your minimum, and then it can go all the way up to, you can be doing photos, floor plans, videos, social media videos, aerial with the drone, and then when you add all that in, and if it's, you know, say a 5-bedroom detached property in Edinburgh, then that could be £600 for everything. So I still personally think that we're incredibly good value for money, because I know there are other companies that are much more than that when you add all that on. Because
you must love going to like a really fancy property, do you?
I mean, it's great. I love it. I mean, you see
really nice ones. You must get some crackers.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing the variety. You're going from maybe a £50,000-60,000 property, and then on the same day you can be going to a £5-6 million property. And you're just like, it's crazy the sort of difference in what you're seeing and photographing on just literally one day.
Sorry, mate, just to fast track a wee bit, I know that your business is now built up and you've got staff and you're learning, adapting and growing, but you're also investing in property as well. So how are you finding that at the moment? Yeah,
it's good, and it's kind of going up and down with when I can kind of dedicate some time to that, just because of my wife and I, we've had 2 kids in the last 18 months or so.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got a 20-month-old and we've got a 3-month-old, and then we needed more space.
So you volunteered to come here for a rest, didn't you?
Is that why you're struggling to stay awake?
Well, that's probably why I look tired of
that.
So it's we got our first investment property last year, and actually the year before that we did a bit of sort of training with Darren and Gillian Green, who obviously
friends of the podcast.
Did the podcast. We looked into that just because I really wanted my wife to be involved in the property business as well.
Did you find them through the podcast? Because we'll need to chase them for a commission.
I'm not sure if it was through the podcast or not, but it could have been. So yeah, we went with them because we could relate to them as well, because they're a couple that have kids and they've done a lot in property and lots of different strategies, and we thought we'll go and do the 6-month course with them, which was absolutely brilliant. We learned a lot from them. We got a great network with them, and then it was basically from there that after that we applied all the things that we're kind of learning, and we secured the first property probably about, I don't know, six months or so after that. That was actually through one of my clients, which is another good thing about being in this business, is that I've got a lot of clients and I'm actually going.
You're in first. You're in the house.
I'm in first. Yeah, exactly. I'm in there before even the surveyor, or at the same time as the surveyor.
Absolutely.
And that's other contacts that I also have as well. Just over the years, I've met and know a lot of the surveyors that are going out to the properties, as well as the estate agents and the letting agents, and so it's great for.
So you're going to try and dedicate a bit more time now to building that portfolio and getting some more opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the more that I've built the photography and media business, it means the profits that I can have from that, I can then reinvest back into both that business but into property as well.
You can outsource a little bit more. You've got a few guys. Is it just you still use them on a freelance basis, or you actually employ people?
Yeah, at the moment it seems to work really well, because I feel like because I was a photographer before for an estate agency and for a company doing similar to this, I know what the rates are out there, and I wanted to be a bit different where I offer better rates. Yeah, it might affect my margin slightly, but I want people that are going to be coming on with me and staying with me for a long time, and they've got the incentives to stay with me, because I know how much work is involved in it, because I'm coming at it from the photographer as well as like the business owner. So I want to pay them well. So I've got quite a few of them on now, and it's on a freelance basis, because as well as the incentive side of it for them, the more they do, the better quality they do for me, the more they're going to get, the more they're going to get paid. But it's also seasonal as well. As you know, like the school summer holidays, you can get quite a wee dip. The run up to Christmas, December's like without doubt the quietest month of the year for this side of it, because people are just putting up their trees and they're just not bothered, and they'll say, oh, we'll wait till after Christmas.
We get quite a lot of listings for Airbnbs and short-term lets for that, for people booking, between Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, I'll try and sort of push other things. Like there'll be like other companies, like I've got quite a few in the books now that are like either architects or full developers that are doing the full like renovation, design, build, etc. of things. So they want marketing for obviously their websites or social media. So it's great because their clients, where it's a bit sort of different, where the use of the images are going to be for a long-term period over marketing for their business, whereas the estate agency listings especially are it's a one-time use. It's for a listing. Once that's sold, the images don't get used again, that's it. So it's good because it's it can be slightly higher income from those kinds of clients, because it's a totally different.
Where do you want to go with the property stuff then? I mean, obviously you just started out with that, investing yourself. But is it buy-to-let strategies or other things you would look at? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would like a bit of a mix of buy-to-let and perhaps maybe some HMOs or service accommodation, just for slightly higher cash flow in the properties, and have a bit of a mix so that it's not all reliant maybe on just the one. The one we got last year was a buy-to-let. It's in West Lothian. It's doing well. It's got great tenants in it. So that's been
just
great.
Pretty vanilla. There was no kind of like BRR.
I got a pretty good discount on it because it had been on the market for a while. It was struggling to sell, and there was a little bit of work we needed to do, but not very much. So we could refinance that. I think we've not done that yet. It wasn't like one where we done work, refinance it straight away. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think I might just keep it as it is because the cash flow's good in it, rather than trying to refinance it and keep the loan to value on a
again, that's the power of we talk about it a lot, but the power of creating your trading business now investing, so that's allowed you to start investing profits.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good all round for tax and everything else, rather than just like having it, spending it personally. You can then put it into another business and invest in assets that
for the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
is your wife excited about being involved in the property business when obviously the kids are a little bit older?
Yeah. She loves like the sort of interior design. She does all that in her own house. She's great with all that. So she's going to be more involved, I would say, in that side, and probably coming on to do the photography media side if we can, and it keeps growing, because it's great to have it in the family.
What are the trends like at the moment? Like, is there, how like in video and photography there's always kind of trends and people are jumping on things and stuff like that. What are estate agents wanting you to do, maybe that they've seen other competitors do and stuff like that?
I mean, it's certainly becoming a lot more popular now, with the agents being on the camera to show the property and talk to it.
The Americanized.
Is there any good ones? Can you think of any ones off the top of your head that are kind of quite good at it, just so listeners can check out, or other estate agents that are listening to this can have a look at, that you think people do quite well? I'm
trying to think off the top of my head, because I look at America a lot, because
they'll follow those trends.
So there's similar companies to mine that are obviously over in America, and I mean the properties there compared to ours, I mean they're doing $40 million mansions.
You see, like out the Americans though, they do things like the estate agents are jumping into swimming pools and all that with suits on and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? They're mental. But
and it's I think it's bringing in the sort of the special effects side of things as well. So
have you been approached by I suppose people in the Scottish property industry to help with their renovations before, during, and after, and that kind of stuff? Because I mean, we were talking about this earlier on, about the content creation. Like people kind of seem to up their game and get better and better at it. Surely the niche might be to employ someone like yourself to come in as a subcontractor to go and come and do the befores, come and do the during, come and do the afters, mix something up.
Yeah, we've done that on quite a few projects now for quite well known companies in Edinburgh that have done the befores, then the work's completed, and then we've done what it looks like after. And for individuals, I've done that as well. Good friend of mine who's doing a project in North Berwick, so bought it. Did the photographs and the video of it, what it looks like as it was, and it's very, very dated, and he's going to reconfigure it and everything, and then we're going to do it as it goes through, and then what it looks like in the end, which will be great for content and sharing and everything else. So
maybe one day we can get the budget on the podcast to get you out to do some content for the reality refurbs, but until then it'll just be us with a selfie stick. But that is the plan, and polish it up a wee bit, get it looking a bit more professional and stuff like that. Maybe you'll do us a deal after this podcast.
But watch that first.
It sounds like you've done brilliant, mate, and hats off to you for it's a competitive,
thank you very much.
Very competitive. I know it personally.
It's becoming field. A lot more saturated. There's a lot more people going into doing this kind of business. They can see that it's a good business to have. The costs are relatively low in terms of you don't need offices to rent and stock and all these types of things. It's not it's a digital service based business, so it works pretty well, to be honest. So and it's going well now.
We're doing a lot of work in the edits and all that as well. Sorry, we're getting geeky now, but but people don't realise. People think it's just a case of you go out and take the photos.
Yeah, I wish. That'd be great.
Tell us a bit more about all the other stuff that goes on in the background.
Yeah, I mean, but when I was starting out and I was doing it all myself, I'd be spending 8-9 hours out actually doing the shoots, and then it would come home, and then you were spending another 5 hours, 6 hours behind the computer doing all the editing side of it.
I used to hate that. Like see editing like 500 wedding pictures and all that.
Yeah,
oh man,
it's all share the AI then.
It's
well, exactly. Just quickly to finish up on that AI. How's that changing things for you?
Yeah, I mean that's.
Are you adapting? Are you adopting?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
using it?
Yeah, the softwares that I use now for like the delivery of the projects is using a bit of that where it can get locations and it can get everything pulled together easily and then sent all over at once, which is great for them to download and view and everything else. And then on the editing side that you just touched on, it's great because I outsource and I've got a team that does all the editing now, which is great. Building up the team for that, but also the AI side of the editing is really coming along with the photo and video side of editing, because it can just take things and use hundreds if not thousands and thousands of hours worth of footage or millions of photographs and take them and use that editing style onto the photographs you've uploaded, and it can be done in the space of 15 minutes, and you think, wow.
You're using it now as well to design your driveways and all that. I remember 2 years ago coming in here, it was still with Stevie Scott, and I had ChatGPT out, and you're looking at me as if I had two heads.
Still like you two heads.
And now you're using it, mate, and you're talking about it on your social media posts and everything.
Oh mate, I'm a slow learner. I just get punched in the head for fun. Lots of brain cells. I appreciate you coming in, mate, and sharing your story.
Yeah,
it was quite nice insightful look into what profit photography is, how benefit it could be as well.
Nice one.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time.
Where can people reach out to you? And we'll put a plug in the show notes.
So you can find my website, which is phillipstewart.net, 1 L and Phillip Stewart STEW, and you'll find all the landscape work, and the property's got a section on there that you'll see all our photographs, our videos, everything else that we do on there. And you can also find me on Instagram, where it's Phillip Stewart Photo. We'll look at the rebrand soon so that we can really push this and grow it even further, so it's not just based on my name, but so far it's just under Phillip Stewart Photography. You'll be able to find me on there.
Appreciate it, mate.
Nice one.
No problem at all. All right, thank you very much. Cheers.